all the violin playing that you've been doing is already helping your guitar playing, because your fingers are pretty good. You could, I'm going to tell you that I would not typically start a student on a song like this the first week, but you've been playing for a while, so you can do it. Okay, so now we have to look at the chords, and there are only 4 chord shapes in this song, so it's not too much to learn. But when you learn a chord, Andrew, I tell all my students this, there are 3 things that you need to know and remember about every chord that you learn. The first thing, of course, is you have to remember what the fingering is, which finger goes where, what string and what fret. That's pretty obvious, right? Any idea what either of the others would be?
No.
Okay. The second thing, which is very important also, is you have to remember which strings you're supposed to play. Some songs, some chords, you sound all 6 strings. Like that E minor chord that we used at the beginning to check the tuning. The reason why we use that chord is because it uses all 6 strings, so you can hear if there's a string that's out of tune. Some chords only use 5 strings, and some only use 4. And the problem is for example, with this D chord, which we're going to learn in a minute, if you play 4 strings, sounds pretty good. If you play 5 strings, it's not terrible, but it doesn't sound quite as clear and ringy. You know what I mean? What happens if I play 6 strings? Sounds like a mess, right? So it's very important to remember which strings you're supposed to play. And the third thing that you need to remember is the name of the chord. And I know that sounds dumb, but I can't tell you how many students I've had who learn like 20 different chords, but they don't remember which one is which, and that means they can't use them to play songs, and that's kind of dumb, isn't it? So remember those 3 things and you're good. So let's take a look at the 4 chords that we need for the song. The first one is a C chord, and the way that you'll play that is you'll fret the 2nd string, 1st fret. By the way, if you know any of these chords, you can tell me, because I don't want to waste your time. So the C chord, your 2nd finger goes on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and the 3rd finger goes on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and we're only going to play 5 strings with this chord. I'm sorry, I should have been more specific. We're going to play from the 5th string down to the 1st. There you go. Good. Now your ring finger could be a little more on the tip, and that will make sure you're not blocking out sound on the 4th string. There you go. Very nice. Good. The next chord is a D chord. That's the one I was just playing a minute ago. For this one, your 1st finger is going to go on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Your 2nd finger goes on the 1st string, 2nd fret. So you skip a string, and then your 3rd finger goes on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, the one that you skipped. Yeah, like that. Good. And we play only 4 strings with this D chord. Good. The next chord is an A minor. And A minor, these 2 fingers are in the same place they were for the C chord. Your 1st finger is on the 1st fret on the 2nd string. Good. The difference is this finger goes underneath on the, so this, now you have that one right. This finger goes under like that, right. Good. And we're going to once again play 5 strings with this guy. Very good. And the last chord we're going to do is a G chord. For the G chord, your 1st finger goes on the 5th string, 2nd fret. Your 2nd finger goes on the 6th string, 3rd fret. And these 2 fingers go where you had them for the intro. Just like that. Good. How many strings do you think we play?
All 6. You
got it. Excellent. Very nice. So, because we're just almost out of time. So for this week, what I want you to do is, I want you to work on the intro part that we went through, and I want you to start practicing these chords. Now there's something that you need to do when you're practicing. If I start... What do you think is the hard part of that?
Knowing which strings to play.
Well, no, that actually takes, that you'll pick that up very quickly. The hard part is switching from chord to chord quickly enough that I don't lose the timing.
Yeah.
And that's a lot different from the violin, because on the violin you're only usually moving 1 or 2 fingers at a time. Here we're usually moving 3 or 4 fingers at the same time. The secret to getting your chord changes to work is to practice putting all the fingers down at the same time. If you think about it logically, Andrew, if I take this A minor chord and I put the fingers down one at a time, it's going to take 3 times as long as if I put them all down at the same time. And so that brings up what I like to call the helicopter exercise. The helicopter exercise works like this. You start by taking your time and getting the chord exactly right. You can strum it to make sure you have a good sound. And then what you're going to do is you are going to slowly lift your fingers like a helicopter straight up and hover over the chord. And then you're going to land the helicopter, and the rule here, you don't have to land it fast, but the rule is all the fingers must land at the same time or you crash the helicopter with fatalities. So you don't want that, right? So you take your, lift it, get it. Over time, those fingers will start to fall into those shapes, those chord shapes, without even thinking about it. It's going to take a little while. So those are the things that I want you to work on. I want you to work on this, on the intro, and I want you to work on learning those chords and practice picking them up and then putting them down, picking them up and putting them down. Next week, we'll go through the strum part with the chords, and I'll show you how that works.
Okay.
But you have plenty to do for this week, for sure. Okay, very good. Any questions?
No.
All righty.